Hello and welcome to the second post-ballot consultation event and due to current lockdown restrictions, our first completely online event. Since we met many of you in early September, a lot has happened with our design proposals and we are keen to share these updates with you. All being well, you will have had time to read the introduction information the Council dropped through your letterbox. Hopefully it has given you an indication of the topics we want to discuss with you today. To do so, we have prepared this short video presentation. We understand that there is a lot of information to take in, but afterwards we are here to answer as many of your questions as possible. It will also be uploaded onto the Council's revamped web page associated with the redevelopment of Harriott, Apsley and Pattison Houses, so you can watch it again in your own time. How do we get to the final designs? Before talking more about the designs, we'd like to spend a minute or two outlining the process required to get to a planning application. As architects, the process is very familiar to us, and we often take for granted that those we talk to know about the process too. As this is not always the case, we'd like to outline this to you now. The work we do as architects is loosely organised around the Royal Institute of British Architects' Plan of Work, the RIBA. This is a framework for all disciplines on construction projects and covers all stages of work, defined as stages 0 to 7. The stages associated up to planning that we will focus on are stages 1 to 3. Stage 0, strategic definition, which is in effect the long-term plan. This was up to and including the ballot, and once your decision was known, it set the parameters of the project. Stage 1, preparation and briefing. This involved discussions with the Council to establish the brief. This mainly outlined what we need to accommodate in the designs put forward, such as future housing re-provision requirements for existing residents, housing mix for additional homes, and the Council's design and maintenance requirements. Stage 2, concept design. This relates to the preparation of architectural concepts or ideas aligned to the project brief and project strategies. Stage 3, spatial coordination. At this stage, architectural and engineering information is spatially coordinated, with the ultimate goal being to prepare and submit a planning application. We are currently moving into Stage 2, concept design. Throughout Stages 2 and 3, design progression will involve viability assessments, resident consultation feedback, and feedback from the planners at both Tower Hamlets and the GLA. We will go through this process a number of times until everything has been balanced into a complete scheme, at which point a planning application can be submitted. Until we get to that point, what we present and discuss with you can change. A quick summary of proposals at last consultation. Back to Harriott, Apsley and Pattison Houses. You'll remember that in September we presented a design with a new approach, a design that worked for the whole site being regenerated and not just the possibility of the area occupied by the mosque and the adult social care centre being developed. The main change was the creation of 2 perimeter blocks with just one road down the middle, with the intention for it to be a green street rather than 4 blocks. This offered significantly larger courtyards. The fact that all of the estate is to be developed changed how we looked at the urban design, and we thought that one of the buildings could be taller, marking the area and exploiting incredible views across Stepney Green Park. We will discuss this and its direct implication to you later in the video, and at the end, if there are any questions, we will be here to answer them. Feedback received since September. Around the time we last met, we had our first pre-application meeting with the Council's planning department to discuss the initial post-ballot proposals. We presented to them the same proposals we shared with you. Generally, on the whole, they were supportive of the design approach, including the taller storey height, but they did have a number of concerns. Parking for the new wheelchair homes should not dominate and be detrimental to the public green street, and an alternative approach needed to be found. The loss of the Category A tree could not be supported. Ground floor homes should, wherever possible, have their own front door to activate the streets, rather than being accessed from a communal entrance. Feedback from residents was both positive and negative. The increase in size of the communal courtyards was welcomed. A building with 12 stories received mixed reviews and polarized opinion. There were requests about secure communal spaces and gardens. Questions were raised regarding phasing. Today, we want to show where we have gone with the design direction, having taken on board these comments. And most importantly, how decanting into your new homes is directly related to the number of phases, the overall construction period, and to story heights. Design direction. In every development, in every borough across London, the loss of a tree, especially a Category A tree, is only supported by planning officers if the overall gains of the development can be balanced by its loss. The tree has been surveyed by an arboriculturalist and has been given Category A. This means the tree is of a high quality. The survey indicates the tree has 40+ years of positive growth. In addition, the local authority planning officers have confirmed to us that the reason the tree does not have a tree protection order, a TPO, is because they are not allowed to issue a TPO on council-owned trees, otherwise it would have one. In this instance, its removal cannot be supported, regardless of the gains we will be providing, so we have had to rethink our proposals. Therefore, we have cut back the building to an extent that we avoid its root protection area. To continue the building footprint along Aylwood Street and still respecting the tree, we have introduced a smaller building footprint. These will be double-stacked maisonettes. This reflects the massing of the buildings opposite. As these family-sized housing types will further activate the street, we propose to introduce them to both of the perimeter blocks. Incidentally, they will also let more light and direct sunlight into the courtyard amenity spaces. We have removed the surface parking at either end of the central street and located it under a newly introduced podium courtyard within the eastern perimeter block. We will explain what a podium courtyard is in a minute. This greatly increases the open space along this route and reinforces the link to Stepney Green Park. When comparing this new concept diagram with the one from our last consultation, you can see that generally the principles are the same. But we now have the added benefit of larger courtyards, a greener public street, and greater instances of active frontages. What is a podium courtyard? A podium is something that is raised or lifted onto a platform, and in architecture we use this in relation to the base of a building. So a podium courtyard is raised, and in most residential developments has parking at ground level underneath. This section through the site shows the two courtyards, one at ground level and one at first floor level. When in the courtyards, how they look and how they will be used will be exactly the same. In both cases, future residents with new homes at courtyard level are likely to have direct access from their own private amenity space into the courtyard. This is something that is more often than not imposed on us by the GLA. Residents on upper stories will have access from their staircore. On the 20th of November, we presented this new approach to the Council's planning officers, including the new design officer. They welcomed the new approach taken and could see that changes were improvements, and ones that would be beneficial to all residents, existing and future. How will decanting and phasing work? We have talked in the past of ideas and thoughts as to how this may work, but as we continue working, we are beginning to establish how this might work more realistically. There are a couple of key factors that have led to this. We now know the housing provision to be re-provided for residents on the estate. This includes existing secure tenants, resident leaseholders, and for those who were on the council's housing list before the ballot. With outline proposals that are now supported by the Council's planning officers, subject to detailed design, we can now consider true scenarios. On this diagram, we have shown in green the areas where it is possible to construct the first new homes. But when we consider the negative impacts on residents and construction practicalities, a number have to be discounted. This leaves just two possible scenarios. From the first consultation, the feedback we received surrounding the story height was divided, and this is where the heights of the buildings become directly related to how we deliver your new homes. We outlined two potential scenarios for you to consider. In each scenario, we have reduced the height of the taller building overlooking the park to the minimum it can be to make on-site decanting possible. This is also informed by accurate housing reprovision requirements. Scenario 1. In this scenario, we first build in the northeast corner only. This first phase could re-provide the mosque, Pattison and part of Apsley House. The estimated time of construction is 2.5 years. Following the completion of the second phase, the remaining residents of Apsley House and Harriott House can move. The estimated time of construction for this second phase is also 2.5 years. Finally, the other perimeter block will be constructed completely in the final phase. This could take 3 years. In summary, all residents would be rehoused over 2 phases between 2.5 to 5 years. The total time of construction will be in the region of 8 years. The height of the taller building will be 10 stories. This is 1 story taller than the pre-ballot scheme due to the established rehousing needs for residents in Pattison House. Here we need to provide more homes than existing. Scenario 2. This time we build in the northeast corner and in the southern part of the site between Harriott House and Apsley House. This could re-provide the mosque and rehouse all residents upon the completion of the first phase. The estimated time of construction is 2.5 years. All of the remaining regeneration is completed in the second phase. The estimated time of construction for this second phase is 3 years. In summary, all residents are rehoused after the first phase, taking approximately 2.5 years. The total time of construction will be in the region of 5 to 6 years. The height of the taller building will be 11 stories. We hope these explanations have highlighted one of the reasons why this taller building was introduced, and that you are now aware of the overall impacts its height will have. For us to now progress with the designs, we need to know from as many of you as possible what is important for you, either the time it will take for your new home to be ready and the overall duration of construction, or the height of the single taller building. To finish, we have added a few new illustrative images of the proposals. We have also included a couple of these views showing the small change to height between 10 or 11 stories. We appreciate there is a lot of information here for you to take in, so we have tried to keep this video presentation as concise as possible so that we have sufficient time to discuss and answer as many of your questions as we can. Thank you for listening.